Well, good evening, and welcome. And thank you so much for joining me this Thursday evening. Here we are on In Review, and it's going to be a very interesting evening. As a matter of fact, every Thursday evening is very interesting because there's always something developing. I always say, sometimes I ask people if they can come on the show, and they say give them a week notice and tell them what the topic is 5 days before. And I always say to them, I'm sorry, I can't do that because anything happens. Because like today, a few developments which has happened. The chairman or the owner of Manchester United, if you're a Manchester United fan, or well, I'm a Chelsea fan, so what he said, immigrants have colonized the UK. And that's very interesting and very strange because England and Britain went over the world colonizing everyone, so that's very interesting. And also we have got that child predator, that guy who got sentenced for abusing so many children. And ICE is saying they're going to stop the surge over there in Minnesota. So there's lots of different developing things. And most importantly, a third person from the cabinet has stepped down. So who's going to be the fourth? Everybody's saying, is it Starmer? How long will Starmer be around? And so like that. But I want to say that one of the very interesting, let me just turn this thing down. I want to say welcome to those who are my son Chelsea fan too. I want to say thanks for those who are joining me on Instagram, those who are joining me on TikTok, those who are joining me on YouTube, and those who are joining me on Facebook. Well, there are different platforms which I use as well. And I wanted to just start off by saying, did Sir Jim Ratcliffe issue an apology when he said something about the immigrants have colonized the UK, right? It was limited, and what did they say? Qualified. They said he did, yeah. And after widespread criticism of his comments claiming the UK had been colonized by immigrants, he released a statement saying he was sorry that my choice of language has offended some people in the UK and Europe and caused concern. He added that he believed it was still important to have an open debate. Let me just make sure something here. I want to make sure, I want to make sure that I was being heard. What he said, important to have an open debate. So I look at it and realize that, hang on a second, has he really apologized or not? Or is he apologized based on the fact that he offended some persons, or he apologized based on the choice of words? But at the same time, the spirit of the whole thing, he hasn't really apologized, And about immigration and discuss control, well-managed immigration that supports economic growth. His statement focused on regretting the word, as I said, rather than retracting the underlying sentiments of his remarks. And because of that, many commentators and critics have described his apology as qualified or partial. He apologized for offending people rather than apologizing for what he said. He doubled down on his broader point that immigration policy should be debated, which means the expression of regret was more about the impact of his language than a full repudiation of his original comments. And of course, he's got a cheerleader. Nigel Farage said, bravo, bravo. He did nothing wrong. But at the same time, there's an issue of immigration and in a way that needs to be looked at. I've always said that, and I was on BBC some years ago, whereby I said to Dutton, but really and truly, an area of immigration, the whole parties network should agree on it. Conservative, Labour, Reform, Lib Dem, Greens, or whatever, agree on that policy. So therefore, whenever there's a change of government, we're still having that same policy. The campaigning or political issue would be more about deliverable, if different ones can deliver it as well. So we're going to talk about that and other things as well, and Starmer, and look at how Kemi fared at the dispatch box, and did she take down Starmer or what? So ladies and gentlemen, let's start the show, and I'll bring in Aaron Havington and I'll bring in Gary if Gary's around. So check it out. So I was just break dancing a while ago and just do a dance. You know? Aaron, how are you doing?
Hi, Sylvan. Hi. How are you?
I'm cool. I'm cool. I'm good. I'm good. Were you dancing a while ago? I see everybody like
Oh,
was.
you know me. I'm always up for a little bit of dancing. Can't be a bit of dancing.
Well, Aaron, thank you for joining me today, and I'm glad that you took on the cue whereby you can't ask me what the topic is going to be on the day because you got to be abreast.
Well, you've just got to be flexible in this modern world. Like things change so rapidly. What we
Yes.
can talk about on Monday isn't what's going to happen on Thursday. So you know that's the joy of it, though. The constant change, the constant
Yes.
buzz, the constant figuring out what does this mean,
Mm,
kind of business. And yeah, no, thank you for inviting me. It's always a
yeah.
pleasure, delightful pleasure.
And first of all, before we go any further, let's look at the Starmer. What's your take on Starmer? Will he still be there? Because there's another resignation today. You know that there's another resignation today.
Yeah, no, I have seen, but will Starmer still be there? I think so. I think so. Um, I think he's still going to be there. I don't know for how long, but I don't think this Mandelson affair will knock him too much. I actually I think they've been quite clever in the fact I think Morgan McSweeney's taken more of the blame
Yeah.
than Starmer for it with his resignation. But I can't see Starmer being toppled. I think the challengers to Starmer all have a lot of challenges, whether that be Angela Rayner with the tax affairs or Wes Streeting, who clearly wants it, but obviously has his links to Mandelson. And when you look at the others as well, Andy Burnham would need a seat. So I don't think they've got a viable option really. I think if a good challenge was to come, it would come from the backbenchers, and from what I'm seeing, I think there's a lot of management issues that they need to solve, but I can't see him going for some time, to be honest, Sylvan.
Well, one of the points which has been put across by Labour MPs and persons is that what they do not want to have is a similar thing which was happening with the Conservatives, whereby they changed so many leaders at the same time when Boris is the one that got the mandate. So some people are upset that the Conservatives, through the 1922 committee, gave us what? Liz Truss, gave you Rishi Sunak as well. And that was something which was devastating. So what Starmer is coming in and say, we have got the mandate, I've got a mandate, and I've got to deliver it. And I must say also that someone made a comparison, and this is a very comparison, ladies and gentlemen, with King Charles and Starmer. In King Charles' domain, or in his area of protection, that is his organization, there is Prince Andrew, right? And in Starmer, you've got Mandelson and all those sort of guys. So they are saying that Starmer and Prince Charles is on the same level with the same level of things which are happening down there in a way. And it's unfortunate that pressure is putting on Starmer and less pressure is putting on the king.
It's an interesting take. I think because the Epstein links were so wide varied in terms of they touched so many different individuals across academia and business and royalty. I think it's quite hard to pinpoint, who was as part of his network, who wasn't part of his network during that time, to be honest. But actually, to be honest, I think the King's done remarkably well in handling it.
Yeah.
In terms of, he's clearly sidelined Andrew. He's taken away all his privileges. He's put him in a small cottage on his estate. And I like with Mandelson, I think their times are done. Essentially, I don't think the Prince of Darkness is going to return for a fourth time. Put it that way. I'd be very surprised, but no, I think I can see, the crossover, but I think actually, to be honest, I think the royal side of things has handled things a lot better than the political side of things in terms of how Starmer's dealt with this issue. I think it's been, and people have said this as well, it's been quite a poor judgment, really. I mean, this guy was, he was sacked twice by Brown and Blair, and then he has the viewpoint, oh yes, we'll just put him in this very prevalent position of being the US ambassador, and I like everyone, I kind of want to see, what was known before versus what came out, kind of thing. I mean, clearly there must have been some disclosure. And I kind of take Starmer to a degree at his word when he says, "Oh well, I didn't know quite the extent of their intimate relationship to it." But again, these are just judgments issues, and time and time and again with Starmer, we're seeing that just these judgment calls are just the wrong ones that are being made, really. Whether it be with the Chinese embassy, I mean, we've talked about that. I don't think it's a good idea to give
key areas like that.
Key areas that it's 1 meter away from the secure cable between Canary Wharf and the city. So I'm just of the view time and time and again, Starmer's the wrong calls, really.
So do you think, in a way, that there should be, because I've got a couple of clips here where I showed where Starmer was very angry with Sir Ed Davey. Ed Davey is not the type of guy that you get angry with. He's one of those nice guys. It seemed like Sir Ed Davey was even visibly shaken when he said, "Wow," and he said, "I think I touched a nerve." And of course, Kemi was at him in a certain way like that, and I think everyone comes to this conclusion and this agreement that Starmer is a nice guy. They say he's a decent guy, but his level of judgment is there. Do you think if people keep pushing it, that it will backfire?
I think there will come a point where you can't, and we're very close to it, by the way, where it's a bit like with Boris, where you'll cross the line and you just can't go back, really. Have we reached that point yet? I don't think so, but I think we're very close, and I think Labour peers and MPs will see. At the dispatch box, like on Wednesday, Kemi will just keep taking it to them. And I think eventually they'll realise that they're whether it be from Kemi or Reform, they're continued on defensive, and I think they'll need a change of strategy, really. But for now, at least, as I say earlier, I think Starmer's the least worst option, if that makes sense, in terms of he's the best they've got at the current moment, just to try and keep the show on the road, really. But anyone with any intellect can see the show is really not on the road at all.
Well, let's listen to a bit of Prime Minister's Question Time yesterday, and you can see that Starmer was just really firing and just really angry and just really not taking any prisoners. Let's go.
My honourable friend is right. The task of rebuilding our country is a huge opportunity to give young people a brilliant career. And we're backing apprentices with a record £3 billion budget.
Can you hear clearly, yes?
Okay.
And we're making sure companies who bid for major contracts commit to high-quality apprenticeships here in the United Kingdom. And, Mr. Speaker, we're creating 13,000 new opportunities for young people as plumbers, engineers and bricklayers, securing their future and rebuilding this country.
We come to the Leader of the Opposition, Kemi Bendel.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And can I associate my side of the House with the Prime Minister's words on the horrific stabbing in North London yesterday, as well as the shooting in Canada? When he was Leader of the Opposition, the Prime Minister said, and I quote, "I never turn on my staff. When they make mistakes, I carry the can." What changed?
Prime Minister.
Well, Mr. Speaker, I've accepted responsibility and apologised for the mistakes that I made. But let me say this, Mr. Speaker. let me say this, Mr. Speaker. Morgan McSweeney helped me change our party and helped me win a landslide election victory, which delivered for them the smallest Tory party in over 100 years. And what's her great achievement? To make it even smaller.
Was that a good hit?
Yeah, I think so. I think he clearly sidetracked the question. What I noticed, Kemi asks very direct questions. She
always do. She always do as well. Yes.
Yeah. It's a yes or no answer, or it's a number. It's one of the two. And Starmer continually tries to sidetrack it onto a different issue or a different thing. I noticed there he didn't answer the question. What changed? What actually changed? And he clearly sidetracks it onto talking about his political advisors and things. So as an opener, and the good thing as well about Kemi is that she has got a lot better at PMQs. I've noticed from when she started to what she's kind of fielding today. It's almost like a different person to a degree. I mean, the questions that she's asking are the real nuggets, if that makes sense. They're the real substantive points that Starmer, he's not going to answer them because they look bad on his government.
Well, people keep saying that at Prime Minister's Question Time, they don't answer questions at Prime Minister's Question Time. That even the Speaker one time challenged the Starmer to say, Prime Minister, you are not to ask a question. You have to answer the questions as well, So they don't really answer questions at Prime Minister's Question Time. Go ahead. Aaron.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I mean, the thing is about Prime Minister's questions as well. It's the main thing that people watch. It's the 30 minutes that people watch. It's where you get your sound bites, your clickbait. That you can, whether you're Conservative, Labour, or Reform, you can then just send out, and that's what people are gonna see. And actually, to be honest, on that, I'm glad that people are seeing Kemi, and they've got a little bit better at it as being as direct as she is on the questions and just seeing this sidetracking really.
I did say of Kemi, because one of the things I do is walk in the park, and they always say during COVID, when I started to walk, we had a question where people were asking within my group on my TikTok and all those sort of things in 2020. They say if you do something for 21 days, or it becomes a habit. And I said to myself, after 21 times at the dispatch box, I think Kemi's going to get it. I think that's what is happening. But let's look at the next discussion that she had. Okay.
The whips have done a great job today. This is like the 37th. Oh, he said, yeah, exactly. Done a great job today getting them cheering. We all know that they've been sick for the last week. Because let's remember, Mr. Speaker, just last week, he told us that he had full confidence in his Chief of Staff, Morgan McSweeney. On Sunday, he sacked Morgan McSweeney. Last week, he resigned. Yes. Last week, Mr. Speaker, he was defending the Cabinet Secretary. Now he is sacking him. What changed?
I need a ton of money to start flipping property.
That is completely wrong.
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, in January, she said she had full confidence, 100% confidence, she said, be no more defections from her party.
Is he answering the question, Aaron?
Mm-hmm. No, he's not answering the question.
He's not. Okay.
He instantly changes tack, doesn't he? I mean, it's a very, it's almost seamless.
Yeah. Okay, let's watch this.
48 hours later, the Shadow Foreign Minister defected. 8 days after that, the former Home Secretary defected. The only question now is, who's next? She needs to wake up. Her party is dying.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister is demonstrating stratospheric levels of delusion if he thinks the problem is on this side of the House. And he didn't say anything about why the Cabinet Secretary is going. We know the truth. It is because he is throwing everyone under a bus except himself. And Mr. Speaker, the Mandelson episode was not an isolated incident. A few weeks ago, he announced a peerage for one Matthew Doyle, his former Director of Communications. Immediately after that, the Sunday Times published on the front page that Doyle campaigned for a man charged with child sex offences. Yet, despite the Prime Minister knowing this, he gave Doyle a job for life in the House of Lords anyway. Why?
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, Matthew Doyle did not give a full account of his actions. And on Monday, I promised my party and my country there would be change. And yesterday, I removed the whip from Matthew Doyle. I'll tell you what other action we've taken, Mr. Speaker. Along with the Safeguarding Minister, I and this government have introduced the most far-reaching violence against women and girls strategy. And I'll tell you what else we've done. This government has introduced a pay rise for millions of working-class women. What did the Leader of the Opposition do? She opposed it. This government's introducing greater protection for women at work. What did the Leader of the Opposition do? She opposed it. And I'll tell you what else she opposes. This government removing the disgusting rape clause that they put in place.
I don't think we have to go anymore. We're seeing what is happening there. And it is very clear that he does answer the questions. And this is what people have been saying. And you can see that he's angry because people are coming at him from left, right, and center. And on an emotional level and a humanistic level, people, you sort of sometimes a bit feel sorry for him, I must say. But not like how when people, not a bit like when Rachel from Accounts was crying. Yeah.
Well, I just find it fascinating that continually we're seeing, this person told me this or this person told me that. I want to know who makes up his vetting team. Who are these people who are really getting to grips with who these people are that Starmer continually associates himself with, whether that be Mandelson or other Mr. Doyle, other dubious characters in essence.
Yes.
And then actually, to be honest, I think he lowered himself a little bit there, where he talked about the fact that women aren't supported by conservatives in essence, where I would argue the conservatives had two female prime ministers. Where's the Labour one?
Well, the other side of it again is that he likes having strong women around him, Angela Rayner and all the different ladies. His cabinet is made up of a lot of women as well. But let's look at Ed Davey. That bit with Ed Davey. I'm just going to play that bit there with Ed Davey, which is very interesting.
Those grieving the loss of loved ones. Mr. Speaker, to appoint one paedophile supporter cannot be excused as misfortune. To appoint two shows a catastrophic lack of judgment. The Right Honourable Gentleman once told this House that when a Prime Minister refuses to take responsibility, and I quote, "It only serves to convince people that things cannot get better, that governments cannot improve people's lives, and that progress is not possible because politics does not work." Does he still agree with himself? And does he share my fear that is exactly what is happening now?
Minister. People in this country, millions of people, have been let down for years and years and years. And one of the reasons was austerity, which his party supported. He should take accountability and take responsibility for what he has inflicted on this country.
Sir Ed Davey.
Mr. Speaker, I think I touched a raw nerve. But I think the whole House will agree that the Manson scandal has shown yet again why we need a duty of candour. for anyone and everyone in public office.
Okay, let's look at that bit there. What's your thoughts on what transpired right there with Ed Davey?
Well, I think Ed Davey hit the nail on the head where he says it touched the nerve. I mean, clearly, Starmer trusted Mandelson, and obviously he's been lied to. But I think there are bigger questions around, what vetting went on, I talked about this earlier, what actually transpired in terms of, we think this is a suitable person to appoint to one of the most senior positions in government, negotiating with Donald Trump. Our biggest trade partner is America. At the moment, obviously, America's very, tariff heavy in terms of what's the link here between why, and Karen Pierce, who was in the position before, by the way, was doing a remarkable job. Yes. So my question, my thinking is, well, what prompted the change? And it's a little bit same with this chief of staff. I mean, what's prompting the change today of this of the new chief of staff to being this new woman? And I personally believe Starmer's a little bit ruthless, but he's very good at putting the people he wants in places, but whether or not the people actually deliver for him are a different question entirely. And I think today actually shows that he's losing his grip on power. I think I'll let you come in on that.
Yeah. Do you sense, and ladies and gentlemen, do we sense that in a way you're not seeing the government actually owning and actually acting? Of course they're acting, they're dismissing persons from the civil service, they're dismissing their advisors, but you're not seeing them actually taking the buck by its horn and actually stepping down. I'm a person who always say, I don't like just resignation for resignation's sake, because resignation is like you're actually letting the person off the hook. Sometimes it's like let them stay in there and try to sort it out than just resignation. But what you're seeing right here is a situation whereby they are not going to go. And you hear what David Lammy when he came out of the car, they're going to number 10 to that cabinet meeting. He said, no, we're not going. 14 years we waited to be here. We're not going anywhere. You know what I'm trying to say? And what they're homing on to very strongly is the mandate from the people. And I think that is something where the Conservative may have slipped, whereby Boris, which was the key person, they didn't stand by that mandate. Do you think that they are seeing something whereby, hang on a second, because you could have a West Streeton, and then you could have a Angela Rayner, which has still issues with her tax, and then Andy Burnham. So right now, there's nobody that you're seeing. And if anything, you would have a little domino effect where there's nobody strong. And I think that is what maybe they had, maybe as a fly in the wall, or that rat that goes around, trying to find out what transpired in that meeting with the Labour Party parliamentary team.
I think these are all really valid points. I mean, I'd love to be a fly on the wall in terms of if I was a Labour backer at the moment and I was one of the rich people giving them money, I'd like to. I'd be interested to see what my current thought process was.
Yes.
But I think I agree. Actually, I think they're clawing onto a mandate from 2 years ago, a mandate which could be argued was not like a pro-Starmer vote. It was more of an anti-conservative vote, I would put forward to the people. And I think, I think, actually, to be honest, I think the best argument is that they're keeping Starmer in because they don't want a change of leader. Because they'll have to go back to the people. I have to say, this is our new leader. This is our new direction. And we've seen it a little bit with these change of councils. I think, I think to a degree they're running scared. They're just saying obviously we have the 5-year parliamentary term. Whether Starmer will or in the Labour Party will last that, I'm dubious of. But I think if we look at where we were a couple of years ago versus today, if anything, it's got worse. I mean, if you're a small business, you're being hit by excessive taxes when Rachel from accounts said, I'm not going to come back and get more tax from you. You know, our pubs, our hospitality industries. I think across the board, children's services, social aspects, it's all being hit by, unnecessary regulations that weren't even in the manifesto from 2 years ago.
Yeah. And it's funny that talk about manifesto. A lot of the things that Rishi Sunak was saying is actually coming to fruition and coming to pass. When Rishi Sunak was saying this is what's going to happen with Labour as well. There was a funny element, a funny moment in the House of Commons, and I need to put it out. I know the MP that defected from the Conservative, she wasn't so happy about it. But if you look on the face of Starmer and you look on the face of Tice, you could see that they saw the funny side of it, but she didn't see the funny side of it. And I'm going to play it now because it's very interesting.
I think I know the bit you mean, but go on, yes, go on, play it. It's about the one bit that I caught.
Final question.
Yeah.
Mr. Speaker, rubbish is building up right beneath my very nose. It's becoming...
Easy, Tiger.
She's not happy. I was listening to her earlier on the Telegraph with Camilla. She wasn't happy about it, you know.
It's becoming a serious problem in Birmingham. In Birmingham, bin strikes are now running over close to 2 years. So can I ask gently the Prime Minister to intervene and perhaps speak to the leader of Birmingham City Council to see if he can re-enter negotiations with Unite the Union?
Yeah, he's right to raise this, and we're doing everything we can to resolve the situation, which absolutely needs resolving.
I mean, Starmer could have at least smiled and get some good joke out of it, but you can see that he's still seething and everything like that, you know. It is one of those lively moments in the House of Commons that even Richard Tice smiled at it. What's his name? Nigel Farage smiled at it as well. But what's her name? The other lady who defected, she didn't find it happy. She was complaining even today about that. Yeah. There's a very interesting thing that transpired today, and I want to touch on it, and that is regarding what's his name, Sir. Let me get his name right, so I don't mix it up. Sir Jim Ratcliffe, where he said that. So that is what he said. UK is being colonized by immigrants. I actually watched the interview today to see it, because sometimes an interview, sometimes people just get one soundbite out of it and blow it up. So I listened to the whole thing, and it is clear what he was actually saying in the interview. Yes, he actually said it, that and he didn't qualify immigration. He just said immigrants have sort of colonized the UK. And what people are actually saying, someone commented on my Facebook and said it's very rich of him to say that, because at the same time Britain colonized practically the world. And someone was saying it's strange that England don't have an Independence Day, but every other country have Independence Day, because they were having independence from the UK, from Britain. What's your take on that, my English friend? You may be wondering why I brought you on today.
All right. Well, let's start with the main point. Really, is Britain been colonized? I don't think so. I think that's far too extreme language.
Yes.
I like to dissect between legal immigration and illegal immigration. That's usually the best way, in terms of, are there people coming here legally, working hard, paying their taxes, putting actually into the system? And yes. And I personally, I'm of the view that, so long as it's processed correctly, it's monitored. I have no issues with people coming here to put in, and by and large, the people you meet are those sort of people. Where the impetus for the anti-immigration rhetoric, especially that Reform touts, comes from is from illegal immigration, the small boat crossings, and other forms of transportation into the UK, where they're in these hotels. They're quite fancy hotels, some of them. One of them's quite famous in Canary Wharf, and they're taking from the system. And I think the levels since 2018 of illegal immigration from these small boat crossings due to world issues has dramatically increased, and I think that's what's led to a kind of this viewpoint that all immigration is bad immigration. It feels like a colonization or an invasion or an army, I've heard, and I don't think that's the case. I think I do think more needs to be done on border security. I do think more needs to be done on vetting process, and there are arguments for looking for a Canadian or an Australian style, the points-based system. But I'm personally of the belief that the UK isn't. I think that's a bit. I think to be fair, I think he maybe should apologise, because I do think that's a little bit strong. Although I can see how he's come to the point that he would say that. Yeah.
Well, one of the things is that they're saying that he did apologize. What they said, he did apologize. But what he apologized was for the sorry that my choice of language has offended some people in the UK and Europe and caused concern. He added that he believed it was still important to have an open debate. And of course, everyone should really recognize that one of the reasons why you got the rise of the Trump, one of the reasons why you got the rise of the Reform is because the traditional parties skirt around issues of immigration. And then so you got a party that comes in and say it straight as it is. Now, one might not agree with everything that Reform says, but somehow people are gravitating to it because maybe they're saying certain things that many people want to share but are afraid of saying it. This is a viewpoint I have as well. When Labour said that they're not going to want to cause an election, if anything, because they don't want Reform to come in, I listened to that and I think it's a slightly bit in what the people want. What Labour should be doing is doing what they can, speak to the people, share their policies, share their manifestos, and sell their vision to the people. And let the chips fall where let Conservative do it. But I don't believe in this blocking out parties from having an election, like one of the reasons they're talking about, like in some of these areas where they're canceling election. Of course, they're using the excuse or the rationale or the reason that is because of the merger of different local authorities. That is why they're doing it. Many people are saying they're doing it because they believe that Labour, Conservative is going to fail and they're going to lose and Reform is going to rise. So that's one of my thinking in regards to that.
Yeah, I think that's a reasonable line of thinking. I would just probably add to that Reform talks a lot, but I'm yet to see any substance. I'm yet to see,
there's no bite.
What's that? What's the actual plan here, guys? Yeah. Kind of a thing. It's like, you can say you can do this on day one, but what's just saying it for saying its sake is empty. It means nothing. And so, what I've been telling people, I think you've been telling people the same, is you have to have a plan, what it is that you intend to do, and then you have to have the steps. And I think one of the problems, one of Kennedy's benefits, but also one of the problems of the media age is there's a lot of style over substance rather than substance over style. And Kemi's very good at having the detail on how we're going to do things, actually. So that's the point I would put to the viewers in terms of, you know, you hear these clickbait, you hear these sound bites, but you know, where's the detail?
It comes across that Kemi at times comes across more like the one who is the senior counsel, the one who was a former DPP, the way how she holds and she ties up the prime minister, where he seems squirming to a certain extent as well. But we watch to see how it unfolds with Starmer. And you know, Kemi said something at a press conference recently last week. What she said when they said, if you call for a no confidence vote in the prime minister, then what will happen? It may trigger an election, and then reform comes in. Would you want that? Or you know? And she said, what I want is good governance and the right person in place to good governance, because you can't have these sort of bad judgments. The issue with China, the issue with the property in, is it Malay? What's that property which was given over?
Mile End, the big Royal Mint, the former site of the Royal Mint.
Yeah, and all these different things. So we want the best thing. So you know, so let the chips fall, and we're gonna see what happened in this election. What do you think? What's your forecast? Have been a forecast for this election in 2 weeks' time?
I think. Well, I think we're too far out from the next general election. What I would say is, you know, the world we live in today is very different from 10 years ago. You know, we've got China, we've got Russia, we've got real threats. You know, even America to a degree. You know, it's very almost empirical. It's very kind of how it used to be before the world wars, essentially. And so I put forward that Britain needs to be a bit more proactive in terms of how it views other countries and how we trade with other countries. And you know, Starmer going to Beijing, for example, a few weeks ago, and then suddenly this very desirable property that the Chinese have bought and want is suddenly going to be theirs. It's kind of like
some deals along the way.
Yeah, it kind of, you know, I think we just have to be very security focused, because I don't think these states have our best interests at heart, and I'm going to be very honest about that.
Well, listen, Aaron. The USA have their interests at heart. China has their interests at heart. Russia has their interests at heart. Question is Britain have Britain's interests at heart? That's a big question.
That is the key question, really. And at the moment, I don't think it's. I don't think it's true, because I think people are gravitating towards what they think are Britain's best interests, but what actually are Britain's best interests are basically, I would put what Kemi's promoting in terms of, you know, hard work, you know, lower taxes, you know, saving more of your money, very Thatcher-esque, and you know that opportunity and ambition that's a inherent conservative trait. So I think the next election in a couple of years, I'm still of the belief that anything can happen. Have reform peaked? Will Labour make a comeback? You know, it's really all to play for. It's all to play for, Sylvan. It's all to play for.
Well, will Conservative come back?
with you as our mayor.
You know,
that's a start.
Well, I tell you one of the interesting thing though, in America, as you mentioned about America, and if we just take a little over to America, we're seeing a situation where the president, well, under the director of ICE there, saying they are going to cut on, they're going to relax the surge on Minnesota. You know, Minnesota immigration enforcement surge is ending, Trump border star says. And you wonder about that, and I'm just going to play a quick clip of it in what he's saying. And here we go.
I have proposed, and President Trump has concurred, that this surge operation conclude. A significant drawdown has already been underway this week and will continue through the next week. We have a lot of work to do across this country to remove public safety risk who shouldn't even be in this country, and to deliver on President Trump's promise for strong border security and mass deportation. Law enforcement officers drawn down from this surge operation will either return to their duty stations or be assigned elsewhere to achieve just that.
Okay, so therefore, well, many people will say that has happened because of the pressure which has been put on ICE, or is it that they have actually really made some major inroad? What's your take on that, in a sense?
I think it's the pressure on ICE. I think they're in the wrong place. Like Minnesota borders Canada in the north. I mean, yes. I can see the initial thought of, oh, this might be the place where they hide because of that. But yes. I think they're at the wrong border. I think they need to be down south near the Mexican border. I think if I was looking to make a better life for myself in America, if I was Mexican or Canadian, the thinking would be that I'd probably be more likely to make that trip as an illegal if I was Mexican. And so I think it's public pressure from these shootings to a degree. Yes. And I think it's interesting to see what they'll do next, Silban, with America and their immigration policies. I mean, they've tossed and turned it so much from the Muslim ban to
countries which are on the restricted list now as well. I think there's a period of time which they're going to freeze visa applications in some areas as well.
Yeah. And a lot of it's linked to the economics. It's linked to, Trump's a businessman. It's linked to, are you doing business in the way that, Trump wants you to do business, essentially. India, for example, have just had a massive tariff lift, but that's only because they've stopped buying Russian oil. So it's very much satisfy Trump and hope for the best, really, and Britain's guilty of this as well, in terms of just sort of a lot of flattery and pomp and giving Trump what he wants in hoping he'll play ball, really. And it's fine for now, but Trump's not, well, unless the rules change, Trump's not going to be president of America for an eternity. I think he's only got 2.5 years left, so it's going to be interesting.
I like what you said a while ago, unless it changes, because they're talking about him wanting to say he wants to serve 2 terms. Well, it is 2 terms, two consecutive terms, not 2 terms, but consecutive terms at the same time.
Well, he could. Well, I don't know. He'd have to have Congress, but I think it's a plausible possibility with him. Yeah. I mean, the situation happened before in the Russian Federation where they had a 2-term limit, and then Putin decides, oh, okay, you know what, I want to just be president for life, and people go along with it in these super states. So
that's very
feasible.
And that's where he flipped with his other prime minister, who is the president, and they change it around as well. But in closing, something very interesting also happening is that next week, that there's going to be that lawsuit. It's going to go to court with BBC and Trump.
Well, I don't think he's got a leg to stand on. It'll be interesting to see what evidence is put forwards, but I think he's had the apology, and to be fair, the BBC was in the wrong for doing the Panorama documentary and clipping him so that he says what he says. But I believe that the lawsuit's filed in Florida.
Yes.
And one of the stipulations is that it affected the voters of Florida in the election. Now, I'm not too clued up, but I don't think the voters of Florida are really tuned into the BBC News. I think they're all watching Fox. So I don't know where that argument comes from in terms of, all these Floridians were watching this one documentary on the BBC.
Yeah, because I didn't.
That's what changed their mind.
As a matter of fact, by virtue of them talking about it, that's where lots of people went to it to actually watch, and the iPlayer to watch the whole thing. But guess what? At the same time, BBC used to make hundreds of millions of pounds of cuts. I was saying, when I heard that, I said, are they doing that to pay Trump?
Oh,
yeah. The BBC is making cuts amounting to about 10% of its cost in the face of substantial financial pressures.
I think those
need to go on. Yeah,
I was going to say, I think those pressures are internal. I think those come from government funding and maybe less on the BBC studios. I don't. I know. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think it's coming from that. I'd be surprised.
No, I'm just trying to get clickbait, mate. BBC's cutting hundreds in order to prepare for Trump. You know what I mean? At the same time, and I think with Trump, I keep saying to people all a while over the years when I was listening to Trump, and I said, the best way to deal with Trump is not to attack Trump, because if he loves it, just ignore Trump. That's the best way to do it, because the more you attack him, the more he gets that press. Because during Trump period of campaigning, he never spent a lot of money as Kamala, because everybody was trying to hear what he has to say next. And I see a similarity, I must say, with Farage, whereby Farage, every time Farage is out, there's going to be a press conference. There's going to be a press conference. There's going to be a press conference. And everybody run down there to hear what Farage is going to be saying. And he's following the same playbook. And that's why many people are saying that if Farage becomes the prime minister, look out, you're going to have an ICE equivalent, if anything, because they're dealing with that whole aspect of immigration.
Mm-hmm. But I do want to say something. So a friend of mine went. This is a bit of an exclusive. A friend of mine went to. He was invited on a question time panel in Clacton for small businesses.
Yes.
And he was talking about the fact that if you're a small business owner, you're self-employed. Maybe you have a good week. You start an app and then you can put your pension into that. Farage's line was, "Oh, we'll just invest in gold."
Yes.
So I think it just shows Farage is very elitist, and he seems like the common man. But let's not forget, he worked 20 years trading in the city. He's very wealthy. He went to Dulwich College. He is not the man of the people. And Kemi, actually today, in fact, we saw. I think Kemi was at McDonald's, working or showing her experience of when she worked there.
That's what Trump did. That's what Trump did. Then Trump went to McDonald's.
Yeah, but the difference being, like I don't think Trump really has worked a proper day in his life, while Kemi actually has. Maybe I'm wrong. The general point being that when people say, what's the difference between the two? I mean, it's chalk and cheese to me.
Yeah, no, that's very interesting as well. And just the sad news about this guy, his name, the carer who abused a lot of children, and I think I don't want to go into that now because we're finishing off. But that carer who was found, I think he's been sentenced to 16 years for abusing a lot of children in care.
Well, it's shocking. I think the parents highlighted that at the time, and I think the authorities didn't listen to them. So just as a closing point, I think we're seeing time and time again that the authorities really need to listen to women and parents and people with responsible positions who are saying that this is what's happened. Please investigate this, really, because I think it's easy to overlook these things, and I think they're wrong to do so.
Yeah. But it's sad. It's sad, and it makes you really. I guess a lot of parents are, when we, or children in the early days, we went to carer before we did it on our own. We used to take the kid and look over him, when it comes from caring.
But definitely, I'd love to come on. We can do a special on it. But time and time again, women, parents, just being overlooked by authorities, and
Yes.
the effects that what happened is substantial.
Yes, and of course they always say parents know best, and we've got to ensure that we don't take that power out of parents' hands as much as possible. Aaron, listen, I want to thank you so much for coming on. That was great.
No worries, thank you. A pleasure. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah,
I hope I've lived up to my expectations, if nothing else.
We'll ask. I'll get the feedback from persons, and they'll contact me and they'll let me know, and I'll give you the feedback.
I'll wait for my form. So
someone say thanks as well. So listen, have a good one, and we will talk as much as possible. So have a good night, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Aaron. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining. Those on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. Thank you so much for that. Peace out. God bless you. Bye-bye.